Something I went to take, I don't know what. Here, I'll give you mine later. I got here. Oh, for crying out loud. Is it that?
Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're going to start with the pledge. Right?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. Okay. There's no public comment. So we need an approval for the minutes. I need a motion. Oh, the last one. So Chad, Chuck, all in favor, raise your right hand. That's 5-0. And we are ready for reports. ISBA, nothing I think.
Nope, nothing.
Policy, no. Ms. Morgan, you are up.
All right. First up, we have iLearn Checkpoint 2. So they just finished those, and I will tell you the turnaround from Checkpoint 2 to Checkpoint 3 is pretty tight. We pick our own checkpoint dates based on grade levels, and they do it based on the standards that are needing to be covered during that time, and then they choose when they feel like they can get that all covered within the window. And so Checkpoint 2 is pretty heavy on standards, so they go kind of later in the window, and then Checkpoint 3 comes pretty quick. So Checkpoint 3 starts in about 2 weeks already. But Checkpoint 2, you guys can just see kind of overall where we're at. For math as a corporation, we are currently at 69% of our students have shown mastery on those standards, and our goal as a school is 70% for the end of the year, so we're on track. And you can see almost every single one of our grades trending up. The standards are different on the checkpoints that are being assessed, but I still like to look at it because it's the amount of students, the percentage of students that are showing proficiency on those standards. So obviously we want to see more kids showing proficiency on standards. So that feels great. ELA, I think this is a huge celebration. Our ELA checkpoint scores are starting to go up. We're starting to see those ticks up. You guys know that's an area we've been looking at and trying to focus on a little bit more, so that feels really good to see those scores start to go up a little bit. And then you can see I always like to do subgroups. I like to look at where our EL students are compared to our non-EL students. We want that difference to be as small as possible. Same with our SPED. And you can see some good SPED numbers there. So we have 10% past ELA and 20% in our corporation past math. So that looks good. When you look at our math ELL students, we only have a 9% difference between our ELL students and our non-ELL students in math. So that's another thing I really want to highlight because that's good. That feels really good. And then you'll see the breakdown of the schools, and I won't go through each individual schools, but they're there for you to look through. All of our schools showing improvement, doing really well, working hard. So, and just a reminder for you guys, checkpoint scores are they're formative. So they are not a part of their summative score. They are formative. They give us really good insight into how our kids will do on a test and have questions asked to them that the state would ask. We can make our own assessments, and we do a very good job with that, but it is nice to see where our kids at based on how the state would be assessing them. So definitely a way for us to get feedback back and help support our kids in those ways. So any questions on Checkpoint 2 data? Okay, believe it or not, it's already almost summer school time. I will say much easier this year than last year, with it being last year our first year. It felt a lot simpler to get it going because last year went well. So we're going to keep it the same really with our second and third graders. So our second graders who are at risk are mandated to attend by the state, so they will come. And all of our third grade students who did not pass in the spring will also come. Our on-track second graders will not because they're on track to pass, but we are giving them additional support throughout the school year right now. Right now, we're looking at about 38 kids that would be coming to summer school for second and third. But if they all get to take, the third graders all get to take this test again in May before summer school. So if they pass then, they don't have to come to summer school. So hopefully we get a little bit more past then. We're gonna keep it at Meadowview again, that central location, it just worked nicely for us. We do have teachers represented, hopefully this year again, from all the elementaries. That's an important thing for us, so that, you know, all of our students can feel comfortable with seeing some teachers from their homeschool as well. We haven't locked down our teachers yet, but hopefully we get some more teachers that did it last year too. And so we're still looking at 3 weeks. The first week, we're gonna do Monday through Thursday again, and 8 to 11. But the first week, it would be June 1st, and that's our first day out of school. And so with snow, hopefully not, knock on wood, no more winter weather. But we just thought, we thought about pushing it back to that following week. But you know, when you have a full week off of school, it's kind of hard to get back into it. So we thought, let's just get it started. Teachers will still have the hour of a prep through that, so they'll come at 7:30 and leave at 11:30. So they have a half an hour on each end of the kids. Gonna still utilize the curriculum that was created last year. We got some good feedback on that. Transportation, Yvonne's amazing, somehow makes it all work, so just trying to keep her in the loop with all of that. And the nice thing, Kendra would have spoken to this if she could have been here, but we actually do not have to fill out an estimated cost sheet at the beginning this time. So before it was like we would fill out an estimation, they would give us an allocation, and then we still wouldn't get that amount of the allocation. It was just a lot of work for not really knowing what you were gonna get. So now we'll just get our allocation, and then we'll be able to submit for that. Last year we received 100% of our cost to cover our 2nd and 3rd graders, so hopefully that's the same way this summer. We'll still provide snacks, and make sure we have what we need for our kiddos. And then high school, right now for sure we'll have Apex offered for kids that need some course, catch up on courses and credits. Live right now we just don't know. We kind of have to wait and see how our kids finish out the year to see if we need any live.
Okay.
Any questions on summer school? Okay. Last thing I have for you is an accountability model from the state. So it is now finally passed. It was supposed to pass back in December, and they just passed it in March. And so basically we're gonna go back to getting A through F grades as schools and corporations. First time in 7 years that this will happen. Next year is going to be our first year, we will receive a grade next year, but it will be based on this year's scores, and we're just getting it in March, which would have been nice to have earlier. But they're calling it year zero, so they're saying they're going to be flexible, but it will still be out there. We'll still get our grades. Next month, I'm going to go ahead and have a deep dive into it, for that way the public can see. I'll put a presentation up on the board because I think it's really important for everyone to kind of know how we're getting these scores. But there were some changes. So they had a accountability model that they had out. I feel super confident about that and could talk all the way through it with you, but they added just a few new things onto this new updated version, and we've had no training yet on it, and I want to make sure I know it before I share it out. So I'm doing some training. I have a training Friday. There's one on the 25th, so I'm going to go and get that and really make sure I know it's solid so that I can present it to you guys and to the public. So, but wanted to at least let you guys know that this has been approved and it will be happening next year. That's all.
Thank you, ma'am. You're doing a great job. Ms. Jeslin.
Yes, couple things, kind of random, but they all kind of come together this time of year. I'm just going to highlight a couple caseload averages, our out-of-district placement versus our in-district programming, and then kind of our preparation for iLearn, I-Am, and iRead. We just took iRead. So, couple quick highlights. So current caseload averages, our high incident programming, which is what we house here at Westview, so it's going to be our learning disabilities, other health impairment, anything that we house here at Westview within our buildings. We're averaging around 18.5 kids per teacher, which is a pretty good caseload when we're talking about writing IEPs. Low incident, that's going to be our applied skills. Shout out to Tracy. That's going to be our co-op programming that we pull together resources with us and Lakeland. There we're carrying about 8.6 kids per teacher of record. Obviously we have teachers with more, we have teachers with less, but on average it's 8.6, which for our kiddos with an applied skills, sometimes our needs are a little bit different there, so those feel also very doable with where we're at. And then just another quick highlight, 504s, right now we have 27 within our district, and that's just another area that I do like to monitor and just keep tabs on. So those are our current caseload averages.
our out-of-district placements versus our in-district programming. Currently, we're servicing 96.2% of kids here at Westview, which I'm very proud of. We're only sending 3.8% of kids to Lakeland, Prairie Heights, Bright Horizons, which those kids are a part of our co-op programming, and they're a smaller population. But we're proud of that number. We want to educate kids here at Westview when we can. And our goal is to always get them back. So I'm constantly looking at that 3.8. I'm going to those case conferences, kind of setting stepping stones on getting back here to Westview, but that is something that we continue to monitor. But we are proud that that number is low, and we'd like to keep it low. Last thing, just with spring assessments approaching, I want to shout out our team, our SPED team specifically, as they're prepping students for iLearn, which is a big task when you have a disability. For iRead, which brings a lot of, I just think, uncertainty as far as retention in 3rd grade.
Can I just cut in real quick?
Yeah.
I forgot I wanted to shout out. We had a great amount of SPED kids pass iRead. And even like our 4th graders. So, you know, they're granted a good cause exemption, and then they have to take it again in 4th grade. And like, kudos to our SPED teachers and our agenda teachers. Like, I was super impressed. I'm sorry I forgot to point that out.
I do think, you know, this new law has put a lot of pressure on staff and students, but I think we're rising to that, and I think we're trying our best, and we're supporting kids how we can, and they're doing their best, and that's all we ask. And then at high school level, this is a time when we talk about transition planning, getting kids as they're exiting high school. What are your plans for the future? Starting that planning process when they turn 14. We're working really hard on making sure those plans are in place to make sure they have the supports necessary for after high school life. So just a quick couple highlights, but that's all I have.
Doing a great job. Ms. Siobhan.
We received our 2 new buses last week. We ordered 2 new Bluebirds like what we had last year, and we're really impressed with the quality. Justin says they're so much easier to work on, so those came in, and I was waiting for the state trooper to inspect them, which I think is the craziest thing, because you get brand new buses and the troopers still have to inspect them before they can go on the road. And he ended up having an appointment yesterday and was in the area, and he stopped by, and so now I can get plates for those. We probably won't put them on the road this school year yet. We'll wait until the fall. So, but that was exciting that they're here. They're coming so much faster than our other buses. Those were about 1.5 years to 2 years out, and we were forgetting what we ordered. So that's good. The last 2 weeks have been super crazy here, at least in my department. So last week at West Elementary, I got a call that we had a pipe break in the boiler room, and she wasn't wrong. We had a mess, and she jokingly said, she goes, wouldn't it be funny if the fire marshal showed up? And I come back and I meet with 3 bus drivers, and I get a call, do you need to know if the state fire marshal's here? Are we being serious? Yeah. So I went and met the state fire marshal, and we visited all the schools in a couple of days. So it's been fun. In that same week, the high school, we found out in the athletic wing, the lockers, the bathrooms that we use for the main gym, the toilets, the water fountains only had hot water. So on a Wednesday, we shut the water off at the high school and at West Elementary, got everything fixed, and everything was fine. Of course, we had hosted sectional that night, so, but it was fine. We put signs up, everyone did a great job. Custodians are doing a great job in the schools. We did not, I mean, you're always gonna have violations from the fire marshal, but what we had was very, very minor. So pretty tickled with them. I told the principals they did a super job. I know it's a lot of work. Schools don't have storage, and they will write you up for a panel having a chair in front of it, or, you know, a pull station that has, so everything always has to be accessible. A couple things, he goes, this is too minor, I'm not even gonna write you up, just if you could do it by the next time. So he'll be back within 30 to 45 days and look at those violations again, and then poke his head in some other rooms. So we still have a little bit of fun ahead of us.
Is that it?
That's all I have.
Good job, Bill. I mean, you did a good job. That's the bus driver deal. It's hard to keep them. We appreciate what you do. Mr. Sizemore.
Alright, I just have a couple quick reports here. We are in E-rate season, and E-rate is a federal subsidized program where we are allowed to get some money to help us pay for technology inside the schools. So there's category 1, which helps us pay for the connections between the buildings and our internet, and then there's category 2. Category 1 this year, we just renewed our contract with SURF. We're already in, I think it's year 2 of a 3 year. So next year we'll have to renew that with a new contract or anything. So this year was just renewal, nothing fancy or anything good with that. Category 2 is where we can buy anything that's inside the schools that provide network, internet service to students or for staff or education purposes. So that includes like Wi-Fi access points and switches and all that kind of fun stuff. Unfortunately, like all other technology, we got to replace that stuff periodically. So we're in the middle of a 3-year cycle of replacing all of our switches inside the school. So we do it in stages, and that kind of stuff. So this year we're replacing 14 switches. There's a few in each building that we're replacing. We're getting them all matching models and that kind of stuff. We kind of have a hodgepodge right now. We're trying to get everybody all matching so that we can a cleaner cycle and all that kind of stuff. So what I have in front of you is the bid that I awarded the service to. It's Network Solutions out of South Bend, Indiana. They did our work with us last year as well, if you remember our E-rate. So they will be coming in later this summer. Once we get the product in and they get everything programmed, we get it scheduled. It'll be a huge summer project, replacing 14 switches. So the bid you see in front of you is for the hardware, the labor for them to do it, and then the software to make all of that equipment run is what you're looking at. So you see the total there is $138,335. That is subsidized, so that is not the amount we pay. When Kendra and I do the budget, we budget for 100%, because the government comes back and says this is how much we're gonna cover and that kind of stuff. So we always budget for 100, hoping that we'll not have to pay 100. And so I'm waiting for those numbers, so I don't have those numbers yet, but this is within our budget and everything's good to go. I don't need a approval or anything for this, it's just an awareness. You guys approved this in the budget, so we're good to go with that. Anybody have any questions? I'll keep you in the loop when we get the product, when we're gonna have it scheduled, when everything gets replaced and rolled over and all that kind of stuff. I'll kind of keep you in the loop with the project, so.
Does that normally happen in the, after the summer?
It has to happen after July 1. So I'm hoping it'll happen then, because I really don't want to change out switches in the middle of the school year, and Morgan doesn't like me to do that when she's trying to do testing.
Really?
Yeah, it's something about changing the network when she's trying to test children, I don't know. So if we don't get it done this summer, there's a little bit more of a balance of when we can do it and when we can't do it, because I don't want to make major changes and cause problems.
Sometime after July 1.
Yes, that is the plan.
All right.
Okay. That's all I got.
Good job, thank you, Randy. Dr. Carroll.
All right, I'm going to review a financial report that Kendra has worked really hard on. The retirement plan and changes and like what that progress looks like. So the meeting announcements and blackout notices have been distributed to all active and inactive staff with nationwide balances. This past week, we had presentations that were given on the upcoming changes that were conducted. They were on Monday, March 9th. And then Mark from the company came and he held individual one-on-one meetings on Tuesday, March 10th. So staff could sign up to meet with him in one-on-one settings. I met with him, great gentleman, very personable. I think he's gonna be a great representative. All conversion documents and agreements have been signed to move funds from Nationwide to Charles Schwab. The conversion team with Latitude, our third-party administrator, has been working diligently to map out all the accounts from Nationwide to K-Trade. So the last payroll file with Nationwide was sent to Latitude on Wednesday, March 11th. So this week. The first payroll file with Charles Schwab will be sent to Latitude on Wednesday, March 25th, our next payroll. So that's a little bit about the retirement plan and change. And I know that just kind of speaking to that, Kendra has worked really hard and told them that we really want you to be present on an annual, if not twice a year, and touch base with our staff so that they can make changes and they're aware. So I know that's lacked in the past, so she's really proud of that. Donations and fundraisers. We've been working hard to unpack our policies and our administrative guidelines in Neola to ensure we're following our procedures. She's been working hard on that. While also like adhering to the Indiana Code and IRS guidelines. So one update that we wanted to present to you was our donations policy, and it's recommended at this time to include a statement about minimum amounts that are required for board acceptance.
And I know we've spoken about that, and from this review, we've developed a donations versus fundraisers flow chart. And I say we, but Kendra did this, and she put her heart and soul and a lot of time into it. So we would request that board action on that proposed policy change to give myself, the superintendent, the opportunity to approve anything up to $5,000 as a donation to the school. That it wouldn't have to come before the board, but I could approve that. So we would ask that for a motion later.
Later, or you wanna do that now, separate?
We have it later
Okay.
as in our action
That's
section.
fine. Okay.
What else have I wanted to say something about that. Nope, if I get to it, or if I remember it, I'll get to it. But, so we appreciate you considering that. We did a lot of research with other districts too, and some of them have very, policies that vary from 1,000 to 5,000 up to 50,000 that we found. So we thought 5,000 was a good limit. So we appreciate that. Kendra is now doing her monthly financial reports. So our state tuition revenue in the education fund is higher than initially anticipated, which we're excited about, due to our ADM being higher than what was projected. So this is really good. And while our ADM overall continues to trend down, it's not as low as we thought it would be. But we thought it would be a little bit lower, and it came out a little bit higher. So we did receive property tax payments twice, once in June and then again in December. So you can see this, and it's observed in the referendum fund, the debt service fund, and the operation fund. Just to mention a little bit about the pension debt fund, it only sees revenue from a portion of our lit tax, that local income tax, received each month. So the rest of the lit is receipted to the operation fund at this time. And just, she wanted me to make sure that I reminded you that lit for schools is going away in 2028 following the Senate Enrollment Bill 1, that Senate Act, during the 2025 legislative session. However, during the 2026 legislative session, House Bill 1210 was passed, which then delayed the lit. So we now have until 2029. So our hope is that in the next long session during 2027 that we can get this reinstated. That would be amazing for schools. So taxpayers are still paying local income tax, but Senate Bill 1 from 2025 said that schools can't have any of that. So schools continue to compromise with legislators to restore those lit receipts. Kind of talking a little bit about the construction fund. It has a cash balance a little less than $38,000 at this time. Once PSI finishes up the Topeka project with the roof there, we'll pay the final invoice, and then this fund will close out. So our school lunch fund has seen a slight uptick in revenue and a slight decline in expenses, resulting in a positive cash flow in the last quarter of 2025. And I kind of want to put a pause on that really quick. Kendra and I went over and we met with our high school cafeteria staff and had some great discussions and like strategic planning a little bit of how we can try to help, with some of those costs. So they were very receptive, and I felt that was a very, very well-led meeting. So the head cooks and our food service coordinator have done just an incredible job increasing participation. So the number of kids eating meals each day and managing those expenses and keeping the costs low. So one last thing, our health insurance fund has dramatically rebounded in the past 18 months, which we're really excited about. The members of the plan, our Westview staff, have prioritized their health, utilizing numerous health and wellness benefits and programs that Westview now offers. This has saved them money in turn and saved the group money. So Kendra wanted me to make sure she said, well done, Westview. So, and she's worked really, really hard on all of this. So I'm just really impressed with everything. Any questions?
Okay, we're ready for the actions. Fine.
So we would do a motion for the claims.
Yeah, I'll need a motion to accept the claims.
So moved.
Gary, second. Chuck, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 5-0. So we are up to donations. You want to let Jamie?
Sure.
Or just-
I would love to. So the donations that we received in this month, for the Westview FFA, we received 3 donations. $200 from Topeka, New Holland, $100 from Ashley Veterinarian Company, and $250 from Freeman and Tina Hellman. Another set of donations we received to the junior senior high was $325 from Jeff Marchant for the Honeybee Fund. Another one was for Topeka Elementary School. They received $100 from an anonymous donor to purchase books in memory of Barb Luton. Topeka also received another $100 from Marilyn Faulkner to be applied to school lunch accounts. And Topeka received $750 from the LaGrange County Life Grant for 4th graders to attend their Air Zoo, Aerospace, and Science Museum. So we would need a motion to.
Do you wanna do the policy here too, you wanna include the policy in this motion, the approval of the policy? Since we didn't do that before, I mean, we need to take a motion, take action on the policy also?
We will later in.
Oh, it's later on?
Yep, if we can just make a motion, or
you
have
have
a
that
motion
later
just
on,
for the
right?
donations, that would be great.
I just need a motion to approve the donations.
So moved.
Gary, Chad, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 5-0. Okay, staff recommendations.
So we would just need a motion.
I just need a motion to approve all staff recommendations that are listed there.
I'll motion.
Toby, need a second. Chuck, all in favor, raise your hand. That's 5-0. Okay, we are moving on to extracurricular.
Yeah, so we would need some additional action for an overnight field trip request for State Small Engines Contest. This is with Morgan Alexander, and it would be on April 23rd through April 25th of this year.
You want that individual?
No, we can do them all
Yeah,
together.
Okay.
Yep. The next one would be the 2027 Choir Department trip to Ireland from April 3rd to April 9th of 2027, and that is with teacher Scott Carter, which I would like to join. No, just kidding. Just throwing that out there. I'd love to go to Ireland. We all want to join. Another one would be the 2026 to 2027 program plan approval. I know we did a lot of work. I met with building administrators. The K4 buildings do have some changes in the number of sections per grade level. So based on upcoming class sizes, we did look at what enrollment looks like for every grade level and kind of just did some shifting in the program plan. One special education teacher at Meadowview will now be split with Topeka and Westview Elementary School. So just doing a little shifting. We did discuss the resolution to accept changes to the withdrawal procedure for the special ed co-op. And then the last one is an action required to update the policy, Chuck, that we were talking about, to include a cash value of donations that need to be approved by the board versus approved by the superintendent.
That's 5,000.
So,
Okay.
and that would be that $5,000 limit.
So I need a motion to approve those. Motion. Chuck, Toby, all in favor, raise your right hand. That's 5-0. Okay, Dr. Carey, your superintendent report.
Sure, I just have a couple of things. There were several resignations and a few retirements in here, and I'm a firm believer in if you give a year to us or you give 30 years to us, you absolutely should be recognized for the time you've given to our district. So I just want to shout out Nikki Barker. She had 31 years of service to Westview, and wish her well in her retirement. Kendra Gang had 14 years of service to Westview. Amanda Hostetler had 17 years of service, and Amber Rodermach had 6 years of service to Westview. So we just want to thank them for their dedication, their time, their service to Westview, and wish them luck in the future. I just wanted to say that I have wrapped up my listening and learning tour with staff members. I've learned so many things. I've asked them to share strengths of Westview. What are things that we need to stay the course for Westview? I've also given them opportunities to share areas of growth that they see for Westview, and then just spent some time with them asking what they need from like a district perspective, so that I could hear that from them. So have a lot of great things. I'm excited to share some of those things out with you when I compile all my notes and can get that to you. So I also just want to give a good luck shout out to our boys basketball team, right? They are going to be competing, yeah, they're on a roll at regionals tomorrow, and ultimately just want to say thank you to all of you sitting at this table. Thank you to the community for, I've had a great first month here, so I appreciate all the support and all the guidance, and just very happy to be here. That's all I have.
Anything else? Well, thank you for having students. Yo, big shout out to you for the job you do. Jeslyn, Morgan, Kendra's not here, Randy. Everybody's doing a great job. Welcome to you, Dr. Carroll. A lot of positive comments. We're gonna be on a roll. Good people, good things happening, so. Need a motion to adjourn?
So
Gary, Chuck, all three raise your right hand, 5-0. For you students that are here, any one of us five can sign your paper if you need to sign it.